Children, offspring, products of relationships are beautiful. They're often described as gifts from God, blessings. But I speak to you this evening to talk about the rights and obligations that children have. In Zimbabwe, all children are wards of the state, and the High Court of Zimbabwe is the upper guardian for all children. So, whilst your child might bear your name, whilst you might be on the birth certificate recorded as father or mother for this child, you're ultimately responsible to the state in terms of how you look after them. The Constitution of Zimbabwe is a very important starting point in looking at the rights that children have. And we're talking about right to food, to shelter, to education, to care, to knowing their parents, to emotional support, to spiritual support, the right not to be abused or neglected. The Children's Act is another piece of legislation that looks into child protection to ensure that all children are protected everywhere. I want to speak to you though about maintenance. And maintenance is a monetary amount. Imari, it's money that is paid towards the upkeep and care of a child by the non-custodial parent. So we're talking about the parent that is not ordinarily living with the child on a day-to-day basis. Other jurisdictions call maintenance alimony. So we're talking about that monetary amount that goes towards food, that goes towards rent, that goes towards school supplies if the child is of school going age, school fees, excursions, you name it. It's calculated against the needs of this child, also bearing in mind the standard of living that this child is accustomed to, the kind, what they do on a normal basis. If they go to Disneyland, then you would have to ensure that the maintenance you're paying accommodates that. So sometimes children are born out of relationships that are not necessarily solemnized. They could be born out of casual relationships. That child, whether the parents are married or not, is entitled to maintenance. And upon divorce or separation of married parents, whether in terms of general law or customary law, again, maintenance can be applied for pending the divorce order. It can also be incorporated into the final divorce order. And it is a prerequisite that maintenance issues are dealt with. Issues of custody, who has the child on a day-to-day basis, should also be dealt with. The parent without custody should have access or visitation rights where they're able to see the child on alternating weekends and alternating school holidays. Sometimes they may be allowed to actually have video calls. We're living in such an amazing and evolving technological space. It could be WhatsApp call, it could be a Zoom call that is done bi-weekly, all depending on the circumstances of the child. Failure to pay maintenance is a criminal offense because remember, you're accountable to the state. And if you fail to look after your child, you could actually end up behind bars. Maintenance inquiries and maintenance default inquiries are held in the criminal court. I once heard someone saying, but if you arrest me, that means you're taking away my ability to be able to fend for my child. Well, as the upper guardian of all children, the state is more concerned with you holding this obligation as an important one and ensuring that all children are protected anywhere. So maintenance can be sought pending litigation. This is perhaps pending a divorce order. Maintenance can be sought by two parties who are not married to each other, but the non-custodial parent is required to pay. The custodial parent could feel that there is neglect. Sometimes it's just about formalizing the agreement that you have, because there have also been cases where it becomes very extortive, where the other party keeps saying, I need this for the child needs this. So it's a structured way to ensure that your child's welfare is catered to. It is a monthly amount that can be paid. Also, there are options to pay a lump sum amount for maintenance, all depending on your means as the non-custodial parent. And ordinarily, an inquiry is actually held. Where do you work? How much do you earn a month? What are your own living expenses? Do you have any other children that you pay maintenance for? These are questions that are asked by the judicial officer in arriving at the right amount of maintenance that ensures that the child is taken care of, but also does not leave the responsible person who's paying the maintenance very, very broke and unable to also carry on their day-to-day living and to meet their other obligations and expenses. Paying maintenance is required by law. It's always important not to be dragged before a court to force you to meet your obligations. Some responsible persons will offer paltry amounts. And remember, in the fight, in the aggravation with this person that you're no longer with, the best interests of your child should always be paramount. The best interests of your child should always win the day. So please pay your maintenance, look after your children. It is the law.